As the anti-hijab protests in Iran continue for the 10th straight day, here in India, there has been a showdown over the hijab once again. After Karnataka, today it was the turn of Kerala. An 11th standard student had to drop out of school after she was denied entry for wearing the hijab. Now, the school was firm, citing the rule book. The girl, too, was firm, citing her religious practice. Now, this turned into a major flashpoint with students from various groups demonstrating outside the school in Kozhikode. Now, student groups are demanding that the educational department end the affiliation of the school over what they claim is an anti-constitutional move. Now, can girls wear a hijab to school or not? Well, the Supreme Court of India has heard the matter for 10 straight days and will be giving its decision on the 16th of October. Let me go straight across to Vivek, who is joining us on the story. Vivek, you're the one who's been tracking the story since morning. I want to ask you a couple of questions. First things first, this girl, we are being told, class 11 student who has been forced to drop out of school. Now, is this the first time that she had shown up in school wearing the hijab? And if not, where did this provocation come from?
See, Shreya, it was just 2 weeks back that this 11th standard girl from Kozhikode, who has been studying in this school for the last 6 months, had actually come to this school wearing a hijab, and she requested the management that she wanted to wear a hijab. Remember, when she joined the school, what I understand from the sources out there is that the management had clearly informed her the set of rules that's been maintained in the school, that in this particular school called Providence Girls Higher Secondary School, there is you cannot wear a school uniform with religious symbols. So basically there is a code, a uniform code that is being followed over there for decades. Now, every student who joined here is supposed to sign that. So what I understand is that the girl was also informed, and the parents has also been informed about this. They have agreed to it. But 2 weeks back, she approached the authorities and said that she wanted to wear a hijab because that's her right, and she is just exercising it, and she is not causing any harm to any of the student. But the management politely refused and said that it's not possible because we have a set of rules and regulations which we have to follow. Now, if you look at the state government's part, the state government has earlier also mentioned that in private aided minority institutes, that's been when I'm saying minority institutes that is has a minority management. Now, here it's a Christian management. The school can decide which school can decide the set of rules or the uniform code which the students has to wear, and they have to follow it. Now, this is how exactly it's been followed in every school in Kerala. Now, what exactly has forced her to approach the management is something which we have no idea. But her parents and her relatives has been very firm on this. They said that there is nothing wrong if she wears a hijab. She approached the management, which they denied. They after that they approached. They have written a letter to the Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan saying that.
Okay, complete your point. I have a counter question, but go ahead. Complete your point, Vivek.
Yes, Shreya. So after that, she approached the collector, she approached the education department. They said that it's up to the school management to decide on the set of on the uniform code. But after that, what we understand is that last week she came to the college, she came to the school, got the TC, and she left the school and she joined another school called the Model School. Now, I called up the parent, I called up Mustafa, the father of this girl, today afternoon. And when I asked him, what has he got to say about this, he said that this matter is over. I don't want to talk on this because I have managed to get my daughter a seat in another school, and they basically doesn't want to talk. When I called up the principal of this school, even she does not want to talk. She said that she does not want to comment on this right now. But what I understand from the sources is that this is a minority institute. This is a government-aided institute where there is a uniform that has been followed for years, and they have been following it, and there was no such questions that's been raised earlier. But what actually provoked the parents and the family members is something that we don't know. But the organizations which protested today are saying that the school has gone against the constitutional. They have no right to disallow a girl from entering school by wearing hijab.
Okay, Vivek, we leave it there for the moment. It's interesting you tell us that the school in question at the epicenter of these protests is actually a Christian school, again, a minority school, though government aided. Let me quickly introduce our guest to you this evening. Tausif Ahmed is an advocate. He's joining us on the broadcast. Lubna is a social activist joining us as well. Lalita Kumaramangalam is a former chief of the NCW, that's the National Commission of Women. And we'll wait for Rahul Easwarn, who's an activist from Kerala, to join us as well. Tausif Ahmed, please help me understand how what the school has done is unconstitutional, because that is why all the protesters outside the school were saying that if this young girl is not allowed to wear her hijab or her headscarf to school, into campus, despite the fact that the school has a dress code, how is this against the Constitution of India?
Before going into that question, I would like to point out the observation made by Supreme Court in the current proceeding which is pending in the court. Now, court suggested on Wednesday, although the judgment is reserved, the court suggested that hijab may promote diversity and it will make school children culturally sensitive. This is a bench of Justice Hemant Gupta and Sudhanshu Dhulia.
Correct.
And I'm quoting them verbatim. One can also say this is an opportunity of being exposed to diversity. We have students from all cultures, religions. Look at the diversity of the country. Be culturally sensitive towards them. This was the suggestion that is from the court. The court also asked.
It's an observation.
It's an observation, not an order.
Correct.
Observation.
And just to tell our viewers that the Supreme Court, Tausif, just a minute, just to give them a little perspective on what you're saying. The Supreme Court has heard the hijab matter for 10 straight days. Of course, this is relating to the Karnataka matter, I beg your pardon. And the Supreme Court has said, we will decide on the hijab matter, whether young girls can come to schools and colleges wearing a hijab or not, on the 16th of October. Go ahead, Tausif. I just thought I'll let my viewers know what exactly the context was.
Yes. Now the girls who are going to college wearing the hijab, they have a fundamental right to education. And also they have a fundamental right of choice, freedom of choice. If they want to wear hijab, that is their personal freedom and choice. Now, there can be rules and regulations about uniform. And so far, you know, the reasonable restrictions so far the uniform is concerned, we have seen about the color matching, that if you're wearing a hijab, it should match the color of your uniform. There is no ban on hijab per se. It is the whole entire controversy only started from the one state, which the matter which is pending from Karnataka, which is pending the High Court. Now you see, any fundamental right can be challenged on 3 grounds, which is public order, morality, and health. Now, here is the question, that when any school teacher or in school management puts a ban on a girl student wearing a hijab, they have to justify, like, on what grounds they are banning the hijab. The ban can be on 3 grounds. Public order. Does them wearing a hijab create any law and order situation? Second, which is morality. Is it a matter of morality? They are not going naked. They are rather covering their head. And third, on the ground of health, is this a health issue? Is this like you know, are they infected? Is there some kind of infection which is going to spread? So it is absolutely absurd, to my mind, on the part of the school government, school authorities, you know, to deny a girl student an entry in the school merely on the point that they're wearing a hijab. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. Tausif, you've made your point, and you've made your point well. Here's the thing. And I want Lalita Kumaramangalam to come in to this. Lalita ji, here's the thing. The school is a minority institution, first of all. It is a Christian institution, though it is aided by the state. 6 months ago, when the girl had taken admission, the rules had been made very clear to her, that there is a school uniform, and you can be Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, you have to stick to the school uniform. Now, suddenly, 2 weeks ago, this young lady decides she wants to go to school wearing a hijab. Is the school wrong when they say, look, we told you 6 months ago, now you can't suddenly change your mind and say, wearing a hijab is my fundamental right, and break the dress code of the school and walk in?
Look, I entirely agree with what the school says. Schools are meant for education, not for identity. Now, if a particular religion says that we will only send our girls to school if they can wear a hijab today, and any school, regardless of whether they are minority or not, says yes, tomorrow you have students in that school from other religions. Those students are well within their own rights to say, then we will wear our own colors that maybe match the school uniform, but we will wear our own symbols. So what happens then? What happens to the sort of unanimity or the sort of unity or the sort of same treatment that is meted out to every student? Tomorrow what will happen is that another student from another community perhaps, or probably this community, will say, because I wear a hijab, I am being my teachers or the management is not being fair to me because they say I belong to one community. Where will this end up? We have all gone to school. I went to a school that was the Good Shepherd Convent. The Presentation Sisters ran it. We were not allowed to wear bangles and flowers in our hair and bindis and all of that. Nobody protested because we went to the school to study. It was not about identity then. Children who are studying should be allowed to study. The question of identity is taught to all of us, or most of us perhaps, not even in terms of religion. The most important identity everybody in this country has is that we are Indian.
Correct.
What do we tom-tom? That India is a land of diversity. So then why sully, and I'm using this word very consciously, why sully the atmosphere of a school where children have studied together for years and years, decades, in perfect unison, let us say, in perfect unity, without bothering about their religion.
Okay.
Education should not divide. Education should bring together. Why are people from any religion, if this was somebody doing it from Christian religion or Hindu or any other religion, well, I mean, wouldn't others protest?
Lubna?
Today it's hijab. Tomorrow they will say flowers and bindi. Somebody else will say something else a third day. Where will it end? There must be some sort of unanimity. And
Lubna?
if a school has, I have a grandchild who's gone for admission to a school. We were told that, look, this is the uniform. She cannot come wearing every day, a different dress every day. Will you abide by it? You have to abide by the rules. The education is one of the biggest empowerers in life. If you say that it is under the yoke of religious identity, then I feel sorry for those poor girls who will lose out such a lot.
Lubna, please, this is a very good point that Lalita ji is making. Why do we go to school? Do we go to school to assert our identity, religious or otherwise? Or do we go to school to study? There is something, people are allowed to change their mind. And this young woman is completely allowed to change her mind. But 6 months ago, when you take admission in the school, you say, okay, I'm going to stick by the dress code. And suddenly 2 weeks ago, you say, no, I'm coming to school wearing a hijab. And if you don't let me come into the school wearing a hijab, I will not come. And the school is blamed for forcing the girl to drop out. Is the school wrong here? Is school a place to assert your religious identity or to study?
I want to tell that the first and foremost thing, as Lalita ji has pointed out also, is only and only about education. And I want to here state also that the position of mine is, and anybody should be, that if this scarf is imposed, it is to be opposed. And likewise, if the scarf is banned somewhere, it is also to be opposed. Because scarf is a part of the apparel of a woman. And that apparel, why is it under scrutiny is my question. Now, I want to tell you all one thing. Look at the perspective. Taliban is the one country in the entire world which is committing a mass crime. Most heinous crime. What is that crime? It is stopping its women from educating themselves. And in Iran, another heinous crime is happening, that they impose this scarf. Now, another heinous crime happens in our very own Karnataka and now in Kerala, where they say that if you cover yourselves, then we won't allow you inside. And today, another case you are putting before us is that the girl herself have decided to cover herself head with a scarf. Now coming to the Constitution of India. Constitution of India, under the directive principles, mandates upon the union government and all the state governments that you have to educate every citizen, give them the means of livelihood, the dignity and the freedoms and everything. Now, as pointed out by the previous advocate also, the stipulations are there. The freedom has its own stipulations, which we as every citizen, the first and foremost sacred book for every citizen of India is the Constitution of India. So the stipulations are there. Now, this headscarf does not in anywhere violate these stipulations that are there. But the state is actually violating its directive principle when the free education and the compulsory education principle of Section 14 is violated by the state of either the Karnataka or the Union Government of India, which is opposing this.
Lubna,
so what I'm trying to tell is that, once again, I'm concluding. See, I have seen the prospectus of Udupi school also. In the prospectus, it is mentioned year after year for the past decade that the headscarf is allowed for any female student. No, Muslim is not mentioned there. I can even WhatsApp you the entire prospectus. It is mentioned that the headscarf is allowed for any female student. Only thing it should match with the uniform. Now, when a girl is demanding, and these girls with the headscarves are topping in the Karnataka engineering and the law. Now, what I'm telling is, when a girl is demanding it, that I want to be educated, I want to be empowered, but allow me with my scarf. I want to ask, what is the affirmative action? Doesn't it come into place?
Why should special treatment be given to a girl just because she is
affirmative action?
No, just because she is Muslim.
Affirmative action.
No. Why should special treatment? I'll let Rahul Easwarn come in.
I want to point out, but in the convent, last point, in my convent where I studied, St. Francis Girls High School is a Catholic school, convent, strict convent. All my Hindu friends had bindis. So many people had so many things over there. In Catholic convents, they don't disallow the bindi. Even today, it is allowed. I am telling you, I am a witness to that. Nobody of us questioned ever about that why should the bindis be allowed? I would protest.
I studied in Loreto, Lucknow, and while there were headscarves that were allowed in school, I never saw any Hindu girls with bindis. It was not allowed.
Of course,
it wasn't allowed. So, to my mind, an exception was made for Muslim students, and the school was well within its right to make that exception for them.
It's not an affirmative action. It's an affirmative action.
You call it affirmative action. I'm calling it an exception.
Constitution calls it affirmative action, not me.
It divisive. Very divisive.
The Constitution calls it an affirmative action. It's not divisive. It's inclusivity. It's called inclusivity. You're the ex-choice chairman of a women commission. I expect more understanding from you.
Just a minute. I'll let Lalita ji come in, but I think Rahul Easwarn wants to come in here as well. Rahul, go ahead.
Two humble submissions. One, the core question here is, which is higher, institutional rights or individual rights? As we know, in our constitution, institutional rights is more important. We all respect all kind of dress. But Mahatma Gandhi, our father of the nation himself, once in 1947 Fatehpur Sikri, when he was asked about Parda system, he said, even in Holy Quran, modesty is mentioned, not any particular dress code. So the whole idea which is upheld by Holy Quran and all the great religions of the world is that we all should have modesty, whether it is man or woman, whether it is male or female. But please remember, everything other is a cultural construct. Now here the question is, anybody is free to wear any kind of dress. We had Justice Fatima Bibi of the Honorable Supreme Court. When she used to go to court, she would adhere to the dress code in the court. And when she should go for private functions, she will have the Islamic dress. So there are various shades of the interpretation. Here the core question is, which is higher, individual rights or institutional rights? And let us be very clear about this. Our constitution, multiple Supreme Court verdicts have categorically said it is the institutional rights that is higher. So the institution, when somebody is coming there, in a particular for a objective, they can prescribe and they can have a particular dress code being instructed to people there. We need not make a huge hue and cry over it. We are a nation with great pluralism and diversity. We should celebrate that. At the same point of time, when the institution is having a particular dress code, we should respect and adhere to it. That is the core submission here.
Lalita ji, would you want to come in? Because Lubna had a direct question to you, to say that she expected a little more sympathy from you, given the fact that you once headed the National Commission for Women.
This is not about sympathy. This is about equality between all students, regardless of gender, regardless of everything else. As Rahul has pointed out, dress is a cultural phenomenon. It is not particularly a religious phenomenon. People from different religions have different cultural constructs. Perhaps because of that, we have different ways of dressing. Now, nobody is saying that the hijab is banned. In a school, you go to study. And if a school decides that you don't need to wear uniform. There are schools where children wear whatever they want to wear. Some wear frocks, some wear in the south pavad davani, some wear salwar kameez. It's not a problem. How many schools have we seen in Delhi where every girl student wears a salwar kameez? Tomorrow there'll be a problem about that, saying it's not Islamic or it's not Hindu or it's something else. I'm not trying to say that people do not have their rights, but there is, for everything, there is also what is most important is to maintain the plurality and the equity that every person going to a particular organization, whether it is to work, whether it is to study, etc., needs to maintain. I'm really telling you, today we say that, okay, anybody can wear what they want when they come to school. Tomorrow it will be that we have to wear a burqa. Then somebody else from other religion will come up with some other cultural construct which they say is essential for us to follow our religion. As Rahul pointed out, we had a lady judge. She was an extraordinary woman. I mean, I have met her and worked with her, who worked in the Supreme Court. There are certain, it's not about rules. It's also about when you work or you study or you go to a certain place, you try and follow what they, how everybody else is behaving.
Lubna, I'll give you
and
the last
one. That is equally important.
Lubna,
religious rights cannot overrule all other rights in a country.
Lubna, you talked about diversity. You said a hijab in a campus or a school is also about promoting diversity. How's this diversity when it's dividing a campus? It divided campuses in Karnataka. It's dividing a campus in Kerala as well.
No, it was not divided. As I told you, as I pointed out to you,
of course, look at what has happened.
See,
look what happened in Karnataka.
What happened
look at what has happened.
See, India.
Couldn't this young lady have waited till the 16th of October for the Supreme Court to rule whether it is okay to wear the hijab or the headscarf in schools and campuses or not? She could have waited. The 10th of October is not that far away. The highest court of the country is going to rule on a subject like this. Why kick up a fuss today?
See, my humble submission is only this. We want all the Indian, we are aiming at 50% parliament with women by. That is our aim and our objective. And we want more and more women to be going into higher education. So I am telling that it's none of the duties of the government.
Then. Lubna, this is blackmail then.
No,
that you let me wear the hijab. The rules are something for everyone else. Lubna.
See, Constitution of India cannot have a say on the dress code and the wardrobe of a woman. She has to be educated first. That is our priority.
No, but that is blackmail. Lubna, but that is blackmail to my ear. I'll tell you.
The Constitution is silent.
Help me. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. I see you have a point of view and I respect that. To me, this is sounding like blackmail. I have a right to be educated. 50% women should be in parliament. Every woman should be, educated. And of course they should be. But this is blackmail when you say that I will come to school only if I can wear the headscarf, otherwise I will not come. What is this?
See, I'll tell you.
And everyone else has to follow rules.
Give me one second.
Christian students are following rules. Hindu students are following rules. Sikh students are following rules. Jain students are following rules. Only Muslim girls will not follow the rules and the dress code.
No. Please don't tell me that. Sikhs are allowed the turbans. Hindus, girls are allowed the bindis. It is all there. And of course, I am telling you, I am from the St. Francis School. Even today, the St. Francis School. And I am telling you, in Udupi, the prospectus of the school from the decades it's running. I have the prospectus with me. Even the last year's prospectus is mentioned in print.
So in print. Most don't.
No, none of you find it odd.
There are many schools like this.
Don't you find, for me, Lubna, don't you find it odd that there is a young girl, class 11.
Today we don't want, are we telling we don't want that affirmative action? Please tell me. We're telling we don't want the affirmative action and let the girls not come if they want to wear only a scarf. Are we going to tell that?
Okay, so here's the thing. Lubna, help me understand this. Here's the thing. I have to end this debate. It's but I just want to ask you this. The Supreme Court will let us know on the 10th of October, right? Whether it's okay for girls to wear hijabs to schools/colleges or not. If the Supreme Court says the dress code has to be followed, come what may, will you support it or not?
No, Supreme Court's order cannot be violated. It can only be appealed against. We are all conscious citizens. For us, Constitution of India comes first and foremost. I am very clear on that, as I told you.
Correct.
But point is that we will have to appeal to the Supreme Court to give the affirmative action perspective, how the advocates do that work properly, and the affirmative action should be brought because the women getting empowered so that nobody will bully them to wear a scarf and nobody will bully them to remove the scarf.
No, but in this case, it can be argued that this is a young girl who's bullying the school. 6 months ago, her parents are okay that she will not wear the hijab to school. Now, 2 weeks ago, she decides she wants to wear a hijab. If not, she will drop out of school. This is bullying,
on the government to see that the affirmative action is taken by a proper intervention.
Yeah. So affirmative action is taken, but you will not follow the rules. You will not follow the dress code, but affirmative action has to happen from the other side.
Rules do allow diversity by a bindi, by a turban.
No.
Everything is being allowed.
No, the school rules are very clear.
School rules are clear in the sense that every turban is allowed, every bindi is allowed, so also the headscarf is allowed. It is so clear. Across India, you see the diversity across India.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment.
Why are we doing this? In Kerala, why are we doing this?
Okay,
see, this
we'll leave it there.
there.
It's a debate that has been ongoing for a while.
The Vidyalaya allows headscarf. The Kendriya Vidyalaya allows. Look at the diversity. We are spoiling the diversity and the affirmative action.
Okay. So, thank you very much for being part of this debate. The men didn't get too much of a say. Rahul Easwarn, thank you very much. Lalita Kumaramangalam, thank you very much. Tausif Ahmed and Lubna, good to have you on the show. Good to get all sorts of opinions. The fact is that ultimately it is the Supreme Court of India which will decide whether young Muslim girls can come to schools or colleges wearing their headscarves or not. What was this young girl thinking that 2 weeks ago she decides she wants to start coming to school wearing a headscarf? Is she taking away from what has happened in Karnataka? If yes, could she have waited for at least 10th of October or 16th of October to hear what the Supreme Court is going to say? Those are all open questions. The debate is an open one as well. It will continue till the Supreme Court rules or makes up its mind. We are stepping into a quick break on the show. There's much more coming up on the other side. Do stay with us.